Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I'll have guests on from the Troup County Center for Strategic Planning, also from the City of LaGrange. So you want to make sure you stay tuned for those interviews in just a second.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
That's low, that's low. That's low and below.
Look, he's blushing.
Seriously? Okay.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have on from the Troup County Center for Strategic Planning, the Assistant Executive Director, Carrie Burkett. Carrie, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you again because I know that there's a lot of things going on. The kids are out of school, and I know a lot of them are perhaps looking for summer jobs, and then we still have, adult individuals that are looking for summer jobs, and I know that the center there is one that is very instrumental in helping, those individuals within the Troup County, City of LaGrange, find jobs in our community. But before we get started talking about helping each other find jobs, there's some programs that you want to talk about a little bit that takes place in our community. But before we get started, Carrie, tell us just a little bit about yourself, because I know people have seen you throughout the community, but tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Carrie Burkett, and I'm the Assistant Executive Director at the Troup County Center for Strategic Planning. My focus there has been on workforce development, and I've been working on programs that include our website, which is Troup County Works. I'm also on a steering committee for Career Connect, which is one of the programs we're going to talk about today, and another program, Troup Trained, that's coming up that we're also going to talk about. So my focus has really been on workforce development since I've been there.
Okay, and how long have you been with the center?
Since November.
Since November.
Started in November.
All right. Now, and of course, we always ask that question. Are you native to LaGrange?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, grew up there, graduated high school in Sarasota, Florida, and then moved to Orlando, Florida, where I got my undergraduate degree in communications and a master's in technical communication.
Okay, well, very good. And I know that you once upon a time used to cover the city council meetings for us there with one of the local news teams here.
That's right.
So we're very happy to have you here in the community and helping out with a lot of worthwhile programs that are taking place. Now, the first one we want to talk about today, Carrie, is the Career Connect. What is Career Connect?
Career Connect is a networking event. It's made up of an educational component that usually kicks off the program, so there's always some sort of education component to it. In the past, we have done things that include a panel from Kia suppliers, and it was their HR managers. They had a panel, and we facilitated some questions, but it was also open to the public, people who attended, to find out exactly what it is that the HR managers in these companies are looking for with employees. And it was a really successful program. We had about 7 people that were hired after that program. So we were really excited about that. This upcoming program is going to be on soft skills. And that's been a big buzzword in the workforce development.
Right, soft skills, okay.
Soft skills has been talked about a lot over the last several years. So for people who don't know, soft skills are really the interpersonal skills. It's the ability to work on a team, to show up on time to work, to have a positive attitude. It's those kind of skills, not necessarily having the knowledge or ability to work in the manufacturing industry or handle a machine, but it's more about the personal and interpersonal skills.
Okay. You're talking about those soft skills, and I know for someone that perhaps haven't been in the search mode for quite some time, those things being common sense may become, I guess, sat on the back burner there. So basically they were looking for those soft skills, being able to work as a group and as a team, because I understand that a lot of the jobs in the out there in the MOBAs and Globus, some of those, just to name a few, you are working as part of a team. So
Right.
were there other things that they were looking for, particular, Carrie, as far as soft skills are concerned?
Well, I think understanding the culture of a company is really important when it comes to improving your soft skills. Like I had said, the positive attitude, showing up on time, showing up to work with not excessive amounts of absences, passing a drug test, being able to pass a criminal background check. Those are all things that fall in that category.
Okay, well, very good, and all very important because I'm sure in today's market now, companies don't want to hire a liability that's going to potentially, cause them big dollars down the road.
Right.
Now, Career Connect. Now, when does this and where does this take place, Carrie?
Career Connect takes place the fourth Thursday of every month at New Community Church, which is at 1200 South Davis. I think it's South Davis.
That's correct.
South Davis Road in LaGrange. It is hosted by the LaGrange Employers Committee, and
That's the fourth Thursday of every month out at New
Yes.
Community Church. Very good. All right. And it's pretty much an all-day session, Carrie?
it is from 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay. All right. So it's just a little bit short of a period of time. All right. And if someone was interested in because I think you all have one coming up pretty soon here, if they were interested in getting involved, how would they go about doing that?
Yes, the next event is next Thursday, which is the 28th. And if they want to if a person is interested in getting more information, they can go to the Troup County Works website. They can also go to the New Community Church website and access information on Career Connect. They could call New Community Church or they can call myself at the Center for Strategic Planning. Okay,
very good. Now, I think all of this kind of leads into the next section that we want to talk about, which is Troop Train, which is another program that is offered through the center there. Talk a little bit about Troop Train for us, Carrie.
Well, Troop Train was born in the Workforce Development Committee here in LaGrange. The idea of it came from the need to improve soft skills, and the committee was discussing that and working with employers, and they learned that this was something that needed to happen. So that committee, in partnership with West Georgia Technical College and the local employers, developed a curriculum that focuses on basic computer skills, safety, soft skills, quality practices, and resume writing and interviewing skills.
Okay, very good. So again, for somebody that hasn't been in the market for a period of time, it can become, I guess, staled a little bit, because I think as we look around, you got high school graduates, college graduates, retirees that are all out there in the market now looking for maybe a supplemental income if they're retired, or the first income if they're coming out of high school or college. So, some of those things are taught there in the schools, but then some of those things may have become a little stale and old. So there's an opportunity for them to get these things addressed there. And I think you all have a class that's also coming up pretty soon for Troop Trains, Carrie?
We do. The first class was last year, and they graduated. About 75% of the people who graduated in the class were placed. Now we partner with employers who recognize the certificate, and they guarantee graduates an interview. Now they don't guarantee them a job, but they guarantee them an interview. And 75% of the people who went through the program last year were placed. We are getting ready to kick off our second troop trained class. And orientation for that is July 30th, and people need to be at the orientation in order to start the classes, which will be about 2 weeks after that, so beginning of August.
And the orientation will be held at
West Georgia Technical College.
At West Georgia Technical College. So if they want more information, can they give your office a call too?
Absolutely. If the program itself is created for unemployed people who are seeking funding or receiving funding from WIA. If someone is unemployed and not receiving funding from WIA, I would suggest that they contact their local WIA office, which is, you can usually get that information through the Department of Labor. A lot of times they're located with the Department of Labor, because if you're receiving funding from WIA, you're able to go through the program for free.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's an incentive for them.
Yes, and there's an incentive for the employer as well. If an employer recognizes, decides to participate in the program, and by participating, they sign a letter, or they write a letter saying that they recognize the certificate and that they will guarantee a graduate an interview, not a job, just an interview. Now, if they hire a graduate from the program, the employer may qualify for WIA training benefits, which is a 50% reimbursement for that employee's wages while they're training.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty healthy incentive there, isn't it?
It is.
Absolutely. So again, if someone is not signed up for the WIA, they need to do so, and they can do that through the local Department of Labor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And then and I guess the other part of it, once they've gone through, they have gone over those soft skills, things that the employer is looking for, and then once they do that, they're guaranteed an interview.
Right.
Which is very valuable in today's marketplace. Who knows? They may end up, if not being hired by that company, may be hired by another company, correct?
Right, and you're competing with so many people who are looking for employment, so that the ability to be guaranteed an interview is a really great thing.
Absolutely.
Now, there are some applicant requirements that are really important for the program. But applicants need to have a high school diploma or a GED equivalent. Can I run through these really quickly?
Sure, Carrie, you got time. Yeah.
They need to pass a reading and math assessment that is handled through WIA.
All right.
And a skills assessment, which is also handled through WIA, which is why it's important to contact that office. Applicants also need to be able to pass a drug test and a criminal background check. Okay. And we have a strict attendance requirement for the program. It's a 5-week program, and people can only miss one excused absence.
Okay.
And that's really to show the employers that these people are serious about work.
You don't do the employer any good if you're not there.
That's right.
And then I think you don't do yourself any good either if you're not there. And then of course we understand that sometimes you may be sick or family emergency, things of that nature. But when an employer invests in an individual, they expect them to be there. And last thing, as we get ready to close out, Carrie, there's a job fair that's going to be coming up pretty soon, and we will try to have you come back on and talk about that. But just briefly mention it now. The
Career Connect is going to be hosting a career expo the second week of October, and it's going to coincide with the second troop trained graduating class. So the students who are graduating from troop trained are going to have first dibs at going through the Career Expo, and the employers who are participating will have an opportunity to interview those people first, meet with those people first before the Career Expo is open to the public.
Okay, well, very good.
But it will be open to the public.
But it will be open to the public.
Yes, sir.
And that's coming up in October, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll definitely have you come back on and kind of mention that again as we get closer to that time. But again, Carrie, the next time we sit down, I'd like for us to kind of talk about some of the number of jobs that are out there that are available to the residents of Troup County, City of LaGrange. So we definitely want to kind of get you back on again, okay?
I'd be happy to.
Carrie, thank you very much for coming in and sharing this information.
Thank you.
All right then. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment.
I'm Damon Jones with American Medical Response, Troup County EMS. Here to remind you this summer, be especially careful for heat exhaustion. The body's an amazing thing, but it has a hard time or a difficult time coping with the Georgia heat and Georgia humidity. So try to plan your days accordingly. If you know you're going to be outside for extended periods of time, then make sure you drink plenty of fluids. Some early signs of heat exhaustion would be edema, the swelling of your feet, the swelling of your hands. If you start noticing this happening, then you need to immediately find somewhere cool to go. Drink plenty of fluids, and if needed, call 911 or call us for help. Heat exhaustion can lead to heat stroke. Heat stroke's very serious. It can lead to loss of consciousness, even death. So this is Damon again with American Medical Response, Troup County EMS, reminding you to be safe this summer. If you have any questions, we're here for you. Stop by the office or give us a call.
Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have on from the City of LaGrange my building official, Mr. Bill Newman. Welcome to the show, Mr. Newman.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, I think it was probably about a year ago now that we sat down,
Almost
I believe it was.
a year ago, yeah.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about, you've been there in the position now for about a year. Talk a little bit about what some of the things you've encountered.
All right. It's a busy job, and I think that I was quite surprised at the amount of work that comes through our department. It's something all the time. There's never a spare minute. I have to try to find time to eat lunch usually. If it's not a phone call, it's a visitor or some of the staff is asking questions, and we try to handle everything as quickly as possible and as accurately as possible. And that takes time, and it takes a lot of research in some cases where somebody asks a question on the telephone about, can I do this or can I do that? And I have to go to the code book and look it up and do some interpretation on it. But it is a very busy department, even in times when people think, well, there's not much residential work going on. There is always something to do with other things that we look after.
Absolutely. And you know, you said it, right? I mean, because the day just varies from the time we come in until we get ready to go home.
That's right.
You know, calls of, you know, people become very, I guess, ingenious when, you know, the markets and the economy starts to slow down. They think of other things that they can do to get into business,
Yes.
which is, you know, what most people would try to do. I mean,
Yes, that's correct.
You definitely got to have income coming in. So a lot of times I know that you and I both kind of feel calls about, if I do this, you know, am I in violation, things of that nature.
Yes.
And and we're always there for the public, and I'm gonna get you to give out your contact information momentarily here.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just talk a little bit about some of the types of business licensing that we offer through
Okay.
the community development, and we want to talk a little bit about the difference between the two. We don't have what we call a business license per se, but we have an occupational tax. Talk about that for us, Mr. Bill.
Yeah. Occupational tax is the new term really for a business license. Occupational tax is charged by the city as a flat rate plus a per head or per employee tax amount. And that is part of our duties in our department, is on the permits and licenses, is to charge and collect occupational tax from every business that is registered in the City of LaGrange. Mm-hmm. And there are many of them, I think something around 1,200 businesses.
That's right.
And they vary from a convenience store to a beauty shop to large industrial plants, whoever. Anybody that operates business for profit in the City of LaGrange has to have a business, pay occupational tax.
Okay.
We handle that, and also the regulated businesses, which include the alcohol, beverages containing alcohol, mm-hmm. Package stores, taxi cab services, billiard parlors. Those are all set up in the city code as regulated businesses, which pay an additional fee.
That's right.
In order to be licensed to operate. And those generally have the background checks involved with it that a business normally would not have. So mm-hmm. we have all of those businesses, and then of course we always have people who, for one reason or another, cannot or do not pay on time, and we have to go out and collect those.
Okay.
All of the occupational tax is due by the 1st of January every year. If you have a business and you could just plan on paying it by the 1st of January.
That's right.
The city does give everybody a grace period and till April the 1st. And that's when, after that is when it gets a little more difficult, because we have to go out and personally visit these people.
That's
and
right.
We don't threaten anybody, but it is a violation of a city ordinance to operate a business without paying your occupational tax.
That's right. And let me just, we're talking about occupational, and then we also have the regulatory types of business.
Right.
And occupationals, their license is due on January 1. Mm-hmm. So technically they're in violation if they're in operation after that, once it hasn't been paid.
That's correct, yes.
But we do extend a grace period of
right.
time there
yes.
as well.
Yes.
And then the regulatory businesses are those that have to be approved by the mayor and council, and they
true.
Have their due date as far as getting their payments in as well. Right. And you pointed out some of those businesses that fall under that regulatory type of business. Mm-hmm. Now let me ask the question, what if a business wanted to have multiple locations? Is that possible for them to have a regulatory business at multiple locations?
You can have, you're limited in alcohol alcoholic beverages about how many locations you can have owned by the same family.
That's right.
Of course, a non-regulated business, you can have as many locations as you can afford to have, but each one has to be licensed separately. You can't have a license that covers a whole group of businesses. It has to be licensed for each address, actually.
Okay, very good, very good. So, you know, and you know, in the time now where we're seeing a little bit of economic challenges, you know, we do see, I think I got the list of businesses that came out for the month of May. We had about 28, I think almost 30 different types of businesses that came online. And as you stated earlier, those range from, you know, anywhere from a beauty shop to, you know, the big industrial types. So I know that we have an industrial location that's expanding their warehouse there. Building permits. Talk a little bit about building permits for us, Mr. Bill.
Okay. One of our biggest chores to do is business, aside from occupancy, is the regulation of businesses according to the international codes that covers building, heating and air, gas, electrical. I think we talked about some of this last time, that was one of my biggest jobs. And those are all have to be done. We review plans before a project starts, whether it be residential or commercial work. And in that review, we look at things from all points about building codes and do a thorough review of the plans and suggest changes. Of course, when we get through with them, then they go to the fire marshal's department. And an occupant on a commercial job cannot get a permit until that review has been done by our department for the building, which covers all of the various parts of the building, and then the fire marshal review, which covers sprinklers and alarm systems and that kind of thing. Then they also do the handicap accessibility regulations for the building. Once that's all done, then we can issue a permit for it.
Okay. So the process, a lot of times people think, and we are very efficient in our department there. A person can walk in and walk out with a permit the same day. And then of course there is the need to call for inspections as well to inspect the things that we've already approved. So, you know, we just want our public to know that as well. And I want you guys do a great job going out and doing those things. You know, and our job is so diverse, and one of the other things I want to kind of shift gears here just a little bit, you know, from the occupationals and the regulatory type business and the building permits. A lot of times we travel down the thoroughfares and we see signage along the right-of-ways, or I shouldn't say along the right-of-way, but along the roadways. Talk about how we regulate, you know, signage and especially during election times as we're in right now.
Okay. That is a whole signage itself is a section 25-10 of the city code, and it is a different ball game altogether, because if someone wants to erect a sign, whether it be residential area or commercial, they have to apply for, if it's a permanent sign, they have to apply for a permit to do that, which triggers a research procedure to start, that I have to go find out, look on the property maps, find out what district that property is in order to determine from the code what the signage regulations are for that location. And it takes a while to do, and it's not as simple as just simply applying for the permit. And each district has its own restrictions as to the area of the sign and also the height, and all of them have to be placed off the right-of-way. Now, right-of-way is something that some people have a hard time with because they don't really understand what we're talking about. We use that term loosely because we're used to, that's our guideline for where signs can be located. And the right-of-way is actually a strip of property that was dedicated to the city when that subdivision or that highway or whatever was laid out to begin with. And it is a line on either side of the road, and it varies in just about every street in LaGrange, every road, every street. Some of them are 35 feet wide, some of them are 50 or 80 feet. And that's why we have to go in and find out the location and find out what the right-of-way width is, and then instruct the people to be sure to locate their sign off back of that line. The reason for that being is that right-of-way belongs permanently to the government entity, whoever it is.
That's right.
And it is there for road widening, it is there for utility locations, for sidewalks. And if you put something on the utility, on the right-of-way, that means that you're placing your private property on the city's property.
That's right.
And just like the city we can't go out and put our property on the private property. So
right.
It's city property, and the regulations say you can't put anything there, and that includes signs.
That's right. And it's so, you know, so as you stated, I think a lot of times it is kind of somewhat difficult to determine, as you
Yes.
stated, the actual right-of-way. A lot of times citizens may say, well, that sign is on the right-of-way, but then in actuality it may not be on the right-of-way. But I think, you know, our department, we kind of use a rule of thumb, you know, 5-6 feet back off of the roadway or behind the curb. It's just basically
If
a
I can
generalization.
expand on that just a little bit,
Sure.
very briefly.
We have a few moments left there.
Okay, the right-of-way can be determined generally by where the utility poles are. That's what people call telephone poles. They're actually utility power poles.
Right.
That's generally right at the end of the right-of-way. And if there's no poles there and you don't have any concrete markers that have RW written on them, then you can say, okay, we'll go back 6 feet from the curb line.
That's right.
That'll generally be okay. And if you have a sidewalk there, go a couple of feet back of the sidewalk, not in the strip between the curb and the sidewalk.
That's right.
That is right-of-way, and
That's
it
right.
belongs to the city.
That's
So
right.
it can be determined, and we really don't want everybody in LaGrange who wants to put up a sign to call us and try to check into it, because it's a long process that takes 30 minutes sometimes.
That's right.
To determine what it is. So
Absolutely.
do your best, and if you have a question, call us. Maybe we can help you out.
Okay. Well, give me your contact number there, Mr. Bill, if you don't mind. as we
Yes,
close out.
we're at City Hall, room 107, and the phone number is 706-883-2060.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Bill, I know we have a lot of things we could talk about, but time just kind of escapes us there.
Yeah.
But I will have you come back on again,
Good,
and we can continue to talk about right-of-way and other things. Okay.
All right, so I want people to understand that we're there to help them, and we're not there just to enforce codes.
Absolutely.
We do our
Absolutely.
best to help people out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bill. You do a great job.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Chris Taylor from the LaGrange Fire Department. During the summer season, remember these safety tips. Keep combustible material a safe distance away from heat sources. Always use a flashlight, not a candle, for emergency lighting. Install working smoke alarms on every level of your home, inside and outside sleeping areas. If you have a fire hydrant near your home, keep it clear of debris for easy access by the fire department. And remember, if you have an emergency and you need the LaGrange Fire Department, the big red truck is just a phone call away. Have a safe summer.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been Carrie Burkett, Assistant Executive Director from the Center for Strategic Planning, and she talked about Career Connect and also talked about the Troop Train. So you want to make sure that you come out and take full advantage of those opportunities there. Also, I had on from the City of LaGrange, Mr. Bill Newman, the building official, and he talked about regulatory businesses as well as your occupational taxes. I hope that you found those interviews informative, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.